Today, homies, I want to rap with y'all a bit about a topic / connection that has been flowing through my mind for years, honestly, that I feel like it's finally time I got around to making a video on. And that subject, ladies and fellas, is how our boy son Goku is going to teach us how to achieve enlightenment. Big statement, I know, but if y'all give me a second to cook, by the end of this video, maybe I can convince y'all I might be on to something. So today's subject is how the homie Goku, once again, just strictly through the pure intuition of the author Akira Toriyama, nearly perfectly embodies the teachings of the Buddhist Eightfold path. Now I'm going to start this discussion off with a disclaimer. In no way, shape, or form am I pretentious enough to believe that I'm an expert on the topic. I've had an interest in Eastern spirituality, teachings, and philosophy for a number of years. So I'm familiar and I've contemplated these things for a while, but there are individuals out there whom have dedicated their lives to studying this and still can find their understanding of the subject changing and growing after a lifetime of effort. So my claim isn't to sit here and pretend to be some enlightened guru, but rather share how my weird ass combination of being a major Dragon Ball head on top of this long-standing interest when it comes to Eastern teachings led me to sitting here one day and thinking like that meme of the one lady with all the numbers floating around her head, and eventually recognizing how Goku was a near perfect parallel to what the Buddha tells us is the main path away from suffering, that is the internet and really the world at large, and towards the path to opening our third eyes like Saiyan and making our way towards enlightenment. So without further delay, your boy's gonna dive in. So starting off, for those that might not be familiar, according to the Buddha, the Noble Eightfold Path, there are 8 pillars one must keep in mind and walk the path of sincerely in order to be free from suffering, that is being born. I know how depressing that can sound at first, but we all know that the fellow was cooking, because anybody alive right now, if we're honest with ourselves, will have no problem being completely real and admitting that life got a way of relentlessly kicking us in the no-no square at times. But what makes this teaching different from nihilism and the doomerism of a lot of folks on the internet is this genuine belief in teachings that there's a way to end our suffering if we know how to handle ourselves the right way. And this is where Goku and the lessons begin. So the first pillar is right view. And like I said earlier, what I'm going to be exploring today is the Cliff Notes version and my own personal understanding in each of these concepts. If you're truly interested in learning more, you gotta do your own research and sit with this stuff to figure out what it really means to you. But from my mileage, right view is about seeing reality for what it genuinely is, in all of its beauty as well as its ugliness. And to really understand right view, it takes an understanding of the Four Noble Truths, which would honestly be a whole different topic in and of itself. But for the purpose of this video, I'ma say it means understanding the reality of human suffering, coming to grips with reality and radically accepting it warts and all so you can begin to do something about it. And when I think about Goku's journey, it's wild how you see so much of this in his character. So much of Goku's character arc has been about coming to grips with who and what he actually is. When Raditz touched down on Earth, Goku went through a period of real denial he had to wrestle with, but he thought, no way I'm from a race of alien maniacs sent here to pack up planets. But as the series progresses, Goku starts to see the truth of his heritage through training and his interactions with Frieza and Vegeta, and eventually leading him to what we might call his awakening. His transformation into a Super Saiyan that was only possible through him integrating all those parts of himself, accepting his heritage, and seeing reality for what it truly was. And we can see so many times throughout Dragon Ball the way a character's refusal to accept reality causing harm, whether it be Vegeta's ego making him delusional and leading him further away from his goals until he was eventually able to humble himself and make real progress. I think about Gohan going Super Saiyan 2 and how his fear and refusal to accept reality of the situation led to the deaths of so many people he cared about until he was finally able to open his eyes and do what was necessary to finish the job. The importance of right view can be seen all throughout Dragon Ball, with Goku as a pivotal example. And next up, we got right intention or right resolve. And in my brain, this one is about orienting the mind toward the renunciation of suffering, trying to get away from that junk and focusing purely on freedom, doing one's best to keep the goodwill of others in mind at all times and behaving with compassion. And here again, our boy shines. It's funny because one wouldn't think about a martial artist necessarily being the picture of compassion, but Goku's out here throwing love in hands. When he boxes, it isn't coming from a place of hate or malice, but seeking to see both him and those he interacts with grow to their greatest heights possible. His intentions in the fight are pure. They're not muddied by crap like ego or negative emotions that will weigh him down in the ways that those he fights might struggle with. Goku embodies the Buddha's idea of universal compassion in his own weird-ass Saiyan way, even with those whom he got into the nastiest brawls imaginable. In his heart, he always left room for them to change and come over to the other side and behave with compassion as well. Homie was seeking to conquer anger with love, and he worked to extend that hand to everyone, no matter how complicated their past might be. If that ain't right intention, I don't know what is. And next up is right speech. which I see as talking with intention, not out here engaged in idle chatter and gossiping with others. And if you see other people doing it, you step away and refuse to have those conversations. Now, this is going to be mad random, but IRL, we see somebody in real life suffering in the culture at this moment from a lack of right speech. Yeah, I'm looking at you, young thug, fella out here gossiping like a teenage girl from the 80s in one of those rom-coms, just all up in the jail phone spilling tea on everybody. And because of that, the man's reputation and potential livelihood is in tatters. Now, taking this back to Goku, homie is infamous for a simple and direct speech. He's blunt, but his words are never meant to intentionally hurt, and he's never manipulative in the way he interacts with others. And this is a big reason I think he's in the good graces of the Xenos and Super as well. His childlike honesty and directness makes him a favorite of the God of Gods, who's used to everybody kissing ass or operating towards him out of fear and worry. Goku's a breath of fresh air in a world of people who let their emotions and fears overcome them. Next up, we got right action, holding the intention and behavior that our physical actions don't cause harm to others. Practicing this one means our actions avoid injuring, stealing, killing, or any sexual misconduct that might cause harm to ourselves or others. Now, on the surface, the big homie definitely runs afoul of this action, but if we look at it through a little bit of a different lens, we see that especially as time goes on, Goku rarely operates out of the intent to kill anybody. He loves to scrap, but it isn't about causing pain, and he does his best to avoid unnecessary destruction by taking his fights to places where there will be the fewest casualties possible and innocent folks will be safe. As overcome as he is with the desire to fight at times, there's still restraint present in the sense that he wants to minimize the pain and damage to those around him. Next, we got right livelihood, which, like everything we've been discussing so far, has a lot of meanings. For the monastic side, it means living on donations and goodwill of others and not giving in to greed and taking any more than you need. But on the layperson side, it means avoiding ways of earning your living that could cause suffering to others by cheating, harming, or ending their life. So if you run a business, go out there and get your bag, but do it ethically, providing a legitimate service to others without scamming. It means striving to have our means of survival being ethical as much as possible. And for Goku, I feel like the homie has this covered on both bases. Whether it be when he's in farm mode, cultivating the land and keeping his family afloat, or serving as the Earth's guardian. I would say both of those are damn noble pursuits. Goku for the longest channeled his existence into preserving life and being a protector for others. And if that isn't good work and ethical contribution, then we're all screwed. Right effort is doing one's best to work hard to cultivate good qualities while abandoning those that are non-virtuous, and this is in both thought and action. Buddha was big in trying to teach that if a person is real about wanting to be happy, then there are certain behaviors and ways of being that bring you closer to that and others that'll prevent it. This also means being aware of the reality of your humanity, that you're not here forever, and because of that, you can't delay because tomorrow isn't something promised to you. In all our endeavors, we should reach towards them with enthusiasm. Living like we have unlimited time is a mistake far too many of us make. And looking at Goku, his whole life has really been an example of what it means to cultivate right effort. And I think this is what makes so many of us gravitate towards him or him serve as a model in both universe as well as in real life for so many people worldwide. This dude is constantly training, and the effort is both physical, mental, and spiritual. Even with his flaws, when it comes to his martial attitude, he is serious about overcoming anger, depression, laziness, and takes every possible opportunity to push himself when the chance arises. This even is reflected in Ultra Instinct, a transformation that's possible only as the fruit of sustained, relentless, mindful effort. And after years of working and pushing his boundaries time after time, he finally reached a state of what many might call enlightenment. A state of pure effortless awareness where he is both present and not simultaneously. And next up, we gotta talk about right mindfulness. This coincides well with that Ultra Instinct discussion because this is one about remaining mindfully aware of your body, mind, and feelings and consciousness at all times, while doing one's best to stay away from unnecessary attachments and judgments. Be pure awareness and see things clearly without all the mental baggage that clouds our decision making. It might sound simple on the surface till you reflect on how easy it is to be somewhere physically, let's say like driving your car or talking to a homie, only to find your mind wandering 8 million other places, thinking about that person that pissed you off at work, money trouble, all the crap you gotta do at home later. Being strictly present and allowing yourself to show up for the present moment is a deliberate skill that one has to cultivate because in many ways it goes against the natural state of what the mind does. And your boy Goku big time embodies this, both in his training, but more impressively in his in-the-moment awareness when fighting. Any of y'all that have done sports, and especially combat sports, know how easy it is to be overcome by your emotions, especially when you got somebody across from you ready to knock your head off. Whether it be fear, anger, anticipation, or whatever, it's really easy to be a pure bundle of nerves, especially when you're talking about being in a real-ass survival situation. That's what really makes people's comments about Goku's combat IQ ring true. Homie is a savant when it comes to boxing. He's completely grounded in battle, being able to lock in the subtle changes in his opponent's movements as well as shifts in their energy. And this is exactly the principle of right mindfulness, being able to be fully engaged in whatever it is you're doing, no distractions and no judgment. And finally, we got right concentration, which I'm still contemplating on myself, but for right now, I see it as working to reach a state of pure, undistracted focus. Being able to enter a flow state where the only place your mind is on is the subject of your practice. Your mind in this state is stable and not easily disturbed, granting you a great deal of power when you decide to truly center your mind on something. And this one, I think, a prominent example of the homie is his use of the spirit bomb. The technique is one very few are capable of, especially on the level Goku is, because it requires both intense meditative concentration as well as a sense of unity with all living creatures and things in order to absorb that energy and use it as a force of goodwill. It really is fitting that this is considered his ultimate technique because it's only one that's possible through his unique combination of fighting genius as well as his spiritual foundation. It's his pure heart and genuineness of his intention that ends up being his biggest strength and making that move the nuke that it is. So there you have it, homies, my crackpot theory on how Goku is the blueprint for all of us getting on the road to enlightenment. How Big Fella isn't just a warrior, but showing how personal ethics, wisdom, purity of intention, and deep meditation on what you care about kind of come together and make him this international beacon of freedom that just so many of us love. So let me know down below how y'all feel about this one. Y'all know I'm all about mixing Dragon Ball with psychology, philosophy, and showing how this series is much more than what people might think on a surface glance. If you enjoyed, you can check out my channel memberships. Just $5 a month and you get early access to videos, member exclusive vids, and you can help support me in being able to drop content like this in the streets of YouTube. Appreciate all of you and catch you again in the next one.